a wonderful coaching fraternity across the country, across the world. I'm very honored to be here today. Coach Portella had asked me to share some special teams information with you, and I'm just very honored to be with you today. The very first thing that when I asked what are some needs that we have with special teams, and he asked to talk about how we evaluate special team players. Now I'm coming at this from a college football perspective here today. And the very first thing I'm going to share with you is my vision statement for this upcoming season. And everything we do at Grove City, whether our offensive vision statement, our defensive vision statement, our special teams vision statement, our academic vision statement, our recruiting vision statement, our overall football vision statement, everything that is in a vision statement is what we live by. But here's our special teams vision statement. And in blue, it's why we do what we do, special teams, and that is to establish and change field position. And how do we do that in red? By speaking the same offensive and defensive language. And what do we do? And that is in green, by utilizing vertical return principles, consistent coverage, and leverage unit principles in making momentum plays. I would like to go back to the red part here. By speaking the same offensive and defensive language, speaking the same language. So that'll take me to the next slide here. How do we evaluate our personnel? How do we put people into position? Speaking the same language. I would like you to keep that in the back of your mind here, speaking the same language. So up top here is my kickoff depth chart. On the right-hand side, my defensive coordinator, who's our linebacker coach, he works with the right side of the kickoff. The kickoff is a defensive coverage unit principle. And we use all of our defensive terminology. I don't come in and with all of my terminology and keys. We use defensive terminology. We use defensive technique. If I go down here to punt, the right side of our punt team, my defensive coordinator, who's our linebacker coach, he deals with the right side of our punt team as well. My left side of my kickoff team up here is our defensive back coach. He works with the left side of the kickoff team, and he also works with the left side of our punt team, which is also a defensive mentality unit. So we have defensive coaches working with the defensive units. All right, we okay with that? So we're speaking the same language. Defensive coverages units, defensive coaches speaking the same language, using the same defensive technique. If we go back up to kickoff up here, what personnel do we use? So our 5, 4, and 3 players, we number inside out 5, 4, and 3. Those are our strong safeties, our linebackers, those fast defensive ends that can get down the field. That's who we utilize at the 5, the 4s, and the 3s. And I don't know why that keeps popping up there on both sides of the ball. Well, guess what? If I go down here to punt, you can see my arrow here. If I go down to punt, the right side and the left side of our punt are the same guys that are the 5s, the 4s, and the 3s, coached by the same coach on either side of the ball on kickoff and punt. So we make sure that we really hone in on who's our best 5, 4s, and 3s on kick coverage on each side of the ball, and who's our best right guard, right tackle, right end. Those are the same players, the strong safeties, linebackers, and defensive ends. So that's how we figure out who's our kickoff and our punt coverage guys, okay? Now, if you go back up to kickoff, our 2s and our 1s, our outside leverage guys and our contain guys, those who are our best tackle guys, those are our fast guys, but they're corners and free safety type guys. Okay, so that's how we do that. I'll be talking about shield punt here in a little bit. I'm back down here to punt. You can see me circling this. Our shield punt, our left shield and our right shield. We evaluate our tallest, biggest guys that can run a little bit. Our left shield this year was 6'7", big, tall. He was our starting nose guard on defense. Our right shield was 6'5". All right, so he big, tall, long, and he can run. All right, he was also a backup defensive lineman. So we had tall guys at the left shield and the right shield. You want tall guys there. And our personal protector on shield was our starting H-back fullback. He was our best blocker on the entire team. So we did have one offensive lineman here, okay? So on defense, defensive coaches, coaching right side, same guy coaching the right side, same guy coaching the left side on kick and punt, right? Same guys working the right side and the left side on both kick and punt. So it's very important that we speak the same language and stay consistent with where guys are at. On punt return, offensive coaches are coaching punt return. I'm also the receiver coach. And guess what I have here? Field 1, field 2, field 3, boundary 3, boundary 2, boundary 1. As a receiver coach, I have receivers on my punt return. You might say, well, coach, why do you have receivers there? Well, a lot of the techniques that we're using on punt return are the same technique that I teach when I'm in the fit position as the receiver coach for the receiver blocking technique. Now, I'm very fortunate as a receiver coach that we have a 6'6", a 6'5", a 6'4", 2'6'3", and 2 6'2" receivers. So we're able to put our receivers there to work there in the front line. Our middle hawk player, which is like a middle linebacker type, he's our running back H-back. So guess who coaches him? Our running back coach coaches him. We do have our cornerback coach. He does coach the corners on punt return because we use our corner techniques. You got to have your best hand guys who can fill the punts back there, and our head coach does that. How do we evaluate kickoff return guys? Our frontline guys. I'm a 6'3" guy on kickoff return. Our front six, if you see right here, I'm circling it. Our front six guys are all wide receivers. Why? They can run, they can set up, and the fit position is the same fit position blocking techniques that I use when I'm blocking on the perimeter for the wide receivers. Our second line, the left half, the up back, and the right half, those are our H-backs and fullbacks. Guess who coaches those guys? Our running back H-back coach. So another offensive coach coaches them. And then our best hands playmakers are returners, again, coached by our head coach. So we speak the same language. Defensive guys and defensive coaches under my guidance coach the defensive coverage units. Offensive coaches and offensive players are coaching and playing the offensive returns. So that's what we do men. Coaches for evaluating personnel, and we speak the same language with that. So we want to start with SEAL Squad. I have some notes here. I do have some video. I understand some video might be slow playing, but I'll try to talk through it. But again, we are a shield punt team, and our philosophy is that it's the greatest exchange of field position play in the game of football, and that is punt. Right? An interesting statistics that I have read over the years that there were special teams that anywhere special teams can be 13 to 17% of the snaps in a game and in a season. This year at Grove City College, we had 11 games and we won a bowl championship this year. 17% of our snaps comprised the season of special team snaps. So it really worked out for us, 17%. And our head coach gave me 20% of the practice time in camp the regular season as well as our spring practices for special teams. So all of you head coaches out there, that's something that you need to be thinking about. How much special teams time and practice are you going to give for practice time? We had 17% of our snaps in the games were special team snaps. All right. Our philosophy on shield punt, we want to protect. We are a man shield. We want to cover, create turnovers, and give field position. Make the opposing offense drive a longer field. Okay. I'll go through some of these quickly. Snap to kick time. If you're a high school coach, it'd be great if you can be 2.3 seconds and under. College coaches, 2.1 and under is really great. Every snap that we take in practice, I have the stopwatch out there. Every snap, you should have the stopwatch out there. Snap to catch should be 0.9 to 0.8 seconds and under. Hand to foot should be 1.3 to 1.2 seconds and under. And in hang time, anything over 4 seconds is really, really good. And remember, a great hang time punt, maybe a 36, 38-yard punt with great hang time is better than a 44-yard punt without hang time. But don't forget about that hang time, coaches. All right? So Coach Portella had said, what about your alignment and how we count? So here's how we do our splits and our basic alignment for shield punt. Between our center and our guards, we have a 2-foot split. Between our guard and our tackle, we have a 3-foot split. And between our tackle and our tight end, we have another 3-foot split. Splits are very important. If you keep consistent splits, you keep those wide splits, the less chance of a block coming from the outside. If you look at my setup for our shield, and I'll show you this drill that we do with our shield, the left shield and the personal protector, their toes are at 7 yards. So their toes are at 7 yards, and their inside foot is 6 inches outside the snapper. Okay? The right shield, he is split stacked behind the personal protector. All right, again, the right shield is split stacked behind the personal protector, and I will show you that here in a little bit. Now, because we have a very good snapper, we have our punter, his heels are at 15 yards. So whatever your philosophy is, you might have your punter at 14 yards, whatever. We put our guy at 15 yards. That's our base alignment. All right. Stances, right? Eyes on the key, forearm on the thigh pads, feet are sort of width apart, weight evenly distributed on the insteps. So you can move either way, whatever your steps are. Chest, over knees, over toes, and then bend at the hips, bend at the ankles, bend at the knees. All right, a basic stance. Okay. Now, for the most part, we are a directional punt team. We like the directional punt team. We will directionally punt to the right. We will directionally punt to the left. Okay. Sometimes we will punt down in the middle. So here I have the count for directionally punting to the right. And whatever call you want to make it, I call it a river call. River, river, river. We call it to the right. So if I'm directionally punting to the right, my right end blocks number 1. My right tackle blocks number 2. My right guard blocks number 3. My center has a free release to the ball. On the backside, away from the call, you add 1 to the count. So my guard blocks 4, my backside tackle blocks 3, and my backside end blocks 2. Now, what does a shield do? So it's a river call. So the right shield and the personal protector block 4 and 5 to the call, and the left shield blocks 5 away from the call. This just so happens to be, we got 10 up. We have 10 up. Now, coach, you're saying, but you're not blocking number one on the back side. He's got a free release. Yes, we do. But guess what? Don't forget, we have good splits here. We got 2 foot, 3 foot, 3 foot splits on both sides of the ball. Number two, we are a directional punt team. Number three, when we directional punt, we teach our punter that he punts in the A gap. The A gap is right here between the purse protector and the right shield here. So he's going to punt this direction here. He cannot punt straight ahead. He must directional punt. So now we're creating a greater distance for that backside number one to get there, and it will never happen. You'll never have a block, as well as having great snap to kick time. So that's a river call. Ends block 1, tackles 2, guards 3 to the call. Backside guard has 4, backside tackle has 3, backside end has 2. Shield and purse protector to the call, blocks 4 and 5. Backside shield blocks 5. Center has a free release, okay? Now, this is just a late call. We're punting left. We're directional punting to the left, right? All we did was flip the call now. Left end blocks 1, left tackle blocks 2, left guard blocks 3. Backside guard, tackle, and end, you add 1 to your call. Guard blocks 4, tackle blocks 3, and blocks 2. Left shield and purse protector block 4 and 5 to the call. Backside shield blocks 5. Now, I'll throw something at you. If we have 8 that are threatening to kick and not 10, if we have 8 here threatening to kick, we can call what we call a middle call, or I call it Moses. You can call it whatever you want. But if we just want a middle call and not directional kick it, maybe you have a punter that kicks really well down the middle of the field. I'll call a middle call Moses, because you're only threatening 8 coming after the ball. Now, ends have 1, tackles have 2, guards have 3, and the shield picks up number 4 on either side. So basically, your front line is fanning out to 1, 2, and 3. The shield picks up both number 4, and that's it. So you can do a Moses call. I've done this with 9. I've done a Moses call with 9, and 3 shield players picks up a 4, a 4, and a 5. So you can do that with 9 if you want to, if you feel comfortable with it. But it depends upon game plan, and you feel comfortable with your shield picking up those 3, you should. Okay, it just depends upon your game plan. So those are our 3 base calls: directional punt to the right, directional punt to the left, and a middle call. Okay. Now, here is our base. Here is our base day 1 drill. Okay, our base day 1 drill. There's 3 things that go into this drill. On the left-hand side is our stance and starts. I already taught you stance. But we have 3 types of steps that we do. We have a 45-degree step, we have a skate step, and we have a bucket step. So we have 3 types of steps. Well, what we do here, if you see, this is the right side of the line, this is the left side of the line, okay? So what we do is, and I'll show you the drill here. What we do is we have the right guard, the right tackle, the right end, and they're going to go against discs or little flat cones. Then we have another group on what we call those stand-up donkey Ds, or it could be a player holding the shield, and over here might be players, in shoulder pads. So what's going to happen is, this is the right side, the right side, the right side, 3 groups. This is the left side, the left side, the left side. What they're going to do is this. They're going to go right step 45 versus disc, attack, punch, release. Then we go to the next line versus a stand-up donkey D, those stand-ups. Right step 45, attack, punch, release to the play side number. Then they're going to go right now to the against with a player versus shields and an attack, punch, release. Then they come back again. They're going to do the skate step 3 times. Then they're going to come back and do the bucket steps 3 times. So in this drill, they're going to get 9 steps. It's a great drill to focus on your steps. Great quantity, but great quality. In the middle of the field, we have the snapper and the punter working on snapper, punter, technique and timing. Some returners down here. And on the right side over here, you have your shield working on their technique. And I'll show you that, okay? So this is our day 1, first day punt install in the spring, first day punt install in camp, okay? Stance and starts, snapper, punter, returner, and our shield progression, okay? So here are 3 steps: 45 skate, flat bucket, attack, punch, release, and we punch through the play side number, the peck, which is whatever the call. So if it's a river call to right, it's the play side number. If it's a lake call, it's the play side number, okay? So here we are with the video. Coach Portella, can you hear me? So you guys will have to, I don't know if you can see this, but the first drill here, we're stepping on the disc. This is through a player, this is in spring, and this is through coaches holding and players holding the shield, okay? So I don't know if you can see, I don't know if you can see in the video.
Yes, coach, we can see a little bit slow, but we can see.
Okay, I'll just kind of like this run through then. So you can see the stance and starts. Just to give you an idea how we do it. You do the 45 steps. A 45 step is the guy's right on your outside shoulder. A skate step is when he's 1 man removed. You got to skate, push up the inside foot like you're skating on the ice rink. And then the bucket step is when he's 2 men removed, okay? So what I want to do is this. Quickly, all right, coaches. If you see these 2 players on the right-hand side, this is called a bucket step. They're going to, just like any of your offensive line coaches, you know, bucket step, they're going to bucket step right. They're going to lose ground with their outside foot, then pivot and take their inside foot and, you know, step through the crotch and go downfield. So this is a bucket step. This guy's 2 men removed. He's got to try to reach him, attack, punch, release. Okay, that's a pretty good bucket step. All right, look at 34 right here, bucket step. Once he determines that he's not a threat, then he gets downfield. Okay, that's the bucket step. Here is what we call the skate step. Okay. We're going to look at the right guard here for the skate step, okay? Skate step, drive off your opposite foot as if ice skating. Now his pad level is a little too high, but he's going to drive off his left foot like he's skating. Some you might call it a shuffle step. Boom, look at that, bam, boom, right there. A little too high, but you can see the good steps here. See that? Bam. He's too high, but he has good steps. Skate step, right? The guy's 1 man removed. He's in the gap. I don't want a 45. I want a skate step there, okay? So we got bucket step. We got skate step. And then our last step is what we call the 45. The 45-degree step is when the guy's hard on your outside shoulder. He's coming hard for the block, and you better be able to get after him and start adding, and you got to stun his growth. He's coming hard for the block. You got to attack, punch, release him, stop any penetration. So our right guard is going to take this guy on right here. All right, that's pretty good. This guy's coming for the block right now. He is attack, punching, releasing, attack, punch, release, get downfield. Attack, punch, release, get downfield. All right? Attack, punch, release, get downfield. All right? Attack, punch, release, get downfield. So those are our 3 steps. I know I'm going relatively quick, men, but I wanted to get, I want to keep going here so we can get through some good stuff for all of you, okay? Now, let's go to the shield. Here's our shield. Here's our shields. So right now, these guys should, this happened to be our starting shield right here. These guys should have their toes at 7 yards, all right? 6 inches inside the centers, all right? Here's the right shield. He's split stacked inside the purse protector. As the ball goes through, he's going to slightly step inside. The purse protector will step inside, and he will step up and inside. We do not have anybody turning to the inside. We're always facing forward, all right? So here's how this drill looks, okay? We always go versus air first. Here's how this looks. All right, we're just stepping. This is the very first time we ever did this. Very first time we ever did this. I got 2 groups going. All right. This kid here is 6'7". This kid's 6'5", and this is our best blocker on the team. These were our backups. All right. All right. They did a very nice job. Then you want to start sending 2 guys at them just to start working wide rushers, depends upon it. Then you want to start an inside-outside rusher. Then you'll get no more than 3 rushers coming at them, coaches, right? So you always want to work on their steps. Once you get the steps down pat, then you want to send 2 rushers at them. Then you want to send 3 rushers at them. And then here, I believe we did some twist at them, okay, just to get the steps, okay? So that's what we do with our shield, okay? So you got to work the shield, all right? Questions on that, you can, write those down. Maybe we can talk about that later at the end if there's time. So here's something very important. So now we did stance and starts. we did the shield, but now we got to talk about coverage lanes, right? So our basic coverage is this. Once the ball is snapped, our center has a free release. Our guards are basically 1 yard inside the hash. Our tackles are dividing the hash and the numbers, and our ends are the top of the numbers, right? Our left shield and our right shield, what we call is after they block, they're 15 to 20 yards behind the front line guys. The left shield has the left third of the field. The right shield has the right third of the field, and the purse protector, he has the middle third of the field, 15, 20 yards behind. And the punter, after he punts it, he always yells the direction of the punt in case he gets off a bad punt. And he's always nose to nose with the returner about 25 yards from him as an emergency backup. By the way, we always teach our punters how to form tackle just in case they have to. Always teach your punters, if you have a pure punter and he doesn't play anything else, always teach him how to form tackle for injury prevention. So this is called build a pyramid. We are going to build a pyramid right here. So we always, when we cover, we always build a pyramid first. We have the cone set up, okay? We have the cone set up. We always build a pyramid first. You can see a nice pyramid. There's our end, tackle, guard, guard, tackle, end. There's our shield right there. We got a nice pyramid set up. They're chopping in place, they're chopping in place, they're chopping in place, right? We don't always send our snapper down there all the time because we wear them out, but we've got a nice pyramid set up, okay? They're in their lanes, they look good. So we always build the pyramid first. Then the second thing we do is this. What happens if you have a player that gets held up at the line of scrimmage? You don't want to have a big crease here for the returner to go through. We call it the replace drill. Your guard gets hung up. You got to replace him. So he gets hung up to the tackle. He has to replace his lane. The end has to replace. So the guard, he gets hung up. He's got to work outside and replace it. So you still have the equal distribution of your lanes on the build a pyramid drill. All right, it's called a replace drill. Okay. So here's a good example. So I put some coaches to just hold a couple guys up, and you'll see some guys being held up, and you'll see some guys, all right? So you see these two guys being held up. They'll eventually work to the outside, and these guys will constrict their lanes and replace where they were supposed to be. It's called a replace drill, okay? So you see how that works, men? We replace where they're supposed to be at, all right? Now, on this side of the field, we got the young kids. We got the freshmen. We're teaching them. The head coach takes them down there and works with them on how to cover. Everybody's getting reps at this. So if you got young kids, JVs, whatever you have down there, we're working everybody. We're working everybody down here, all right? They're doing the drills as well, and they do a nice job of it, okay? So now we're in camp doing it, all right? Now we're in camp doing it, all right? Doesn't look too good. I think I want to get to, let me see here. Okay, here we go. So here's another thing that we teach, coaches. We build a pyramid. Now, what about leveraging the returner? I don't know if you can see my notes here. Now, what about leveraging the returner? We assign our guys on punt, and we assign guys on kickoff coverage, an eye guy, a pec guy, and a hip guy. Who's our eye guy, who's our pec guy, and who's our hip guy, right? Our guards are eye guys, our tackles are pec guys, and our ends are hip guys. Now, what does that mean? Well, when we leverage a returner, we always want to keep the returner on our inside shoulder, and the right guard wants to keep, he's the eye guy, so as he's getting into his lane, he starts to squeeze, and he wants to squeeze them and get on his inside eye on the outside eye, the returner. The right guard wants to squeeze and get his inside pec on his outside pec. The right end wants to squeeze and get his inside hip on his outside hip. The left guard wants to get his inside eye on the outside eye, the returner. The left tackle wants to get his inside pec on the outside pec of the returner, and the left end wants to get his inside hip on the outside hip of the returner. And they want to be semi-stacked behind each other, because if the returner wants to try to split them, then the guard and the tackle and the end can be underneath each other and work over the top so he can't split them. If we're in a straight line, he can split them. These guys also have their outside free, so he cannot, you know, try to get to the outside, okay? Here's another good shot of build a pyramid and replace drill, okay? That's in camp, okay? Here's a great replace drill and IPEC hip, okay? This guy's being held up, so replace drill, and right at you, you'll see the IPEC and hip, okay? IPEC hip, inside shoulder, leverage the returner, leverage the returner, leverage the returner. You can see IPEC hip, and you can see everybody leveraging the returner, right? That's a great shot, keeping the returner on your inside shoulder, leveraging them, and that's how we cover the football coaches right there. IPEC hip. We start with building a pyramid, then we go to replace drill, then we do the IPEC hip full coverage right there, and that's what we do, okay? Then we start getting into what we do then. We got to get off the line of scrimmage. What are they going to do to us? Are they going to try to attack the punter? Then we got to stun his charge. Are they going to try to attack and shadow us down the field? Then we have to try to stack his hip like receivers do. Or if we can't get off of him, then we do what we call a squeeze drill, where we try to squeeze him into the returner and by doing what I call a one-arm bench, okay? So this is just a receiver drill. This is a punt coverage guy, number 22 here. All he's trying to do is stack him. Get off the line of scrimmage. He knows he's not charging. Stack him. You got to beat him. You got to beat him. You got to stack his hip. You got to beat it. You got to get on top of his hip like receivers do. Boom. All right, so we worked out like crazy, okay? So here's one of our game films here. I don't know if you can see. Here's a great shot of one of my guys. He stacked the hip right there, all right? This guy eventually here stacked the hip as well, but, you know, this kid had like a 3-yard return, number 84, but we're stacking hips, work that stack the hip drill all the time. So if you work those drills and believe in it and teach it all the time, then this is the type of stuff that you'll get on film, okay? This is stacking the hip drills that you can work on as well. Coaches, here's another thing that I truly believe in, and I'm sure that many of you do this, and that's half line punt. We do half line punt in camp. We do half line punt in spring ball. We do half line punt if we have a bye week. If there's something that I feel that we need to work on during game week, we will do it during the first practice of game week to work on review things and fundamental technique. So I'm a very firm believer in half line punt. That's something to think about too. It's a great drill to get a lot of good quality and quantitative reps. Half line punt is very important, okay? And so, you know, we do a lot of half line punt, coach. Something to think about, to put down. Okay. Also, one question that I had from some coaches and Coach Portella, what do you do about punting out of the end zone? What do you do about pinning in? Well, the great thing about punting out of the end zone, you're a shield punt team. You're already in double tight, all right? Well, it's already in. Now, here's the thing. Really, the only change that I might make, or that I do make, is if our hills are at 15 yards. But if the ball, if we're punting 13 yards or less, I tell my punter to one-step punt it. All right, we do one-step punt it, and we might go 2 foot, 2 foot, and 1 foot splits. Okay. So now if we're punting out of the end zone, the two changes I'll make is one-step punt, and then 2 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot splits, right? We may do that as well. So those are the two changes that we make. But the big thing is the one-step punt, and that'll increase the snap to kick time in our favor, okay? These guys must cover like you can't believe, okay? So very, very, very important. Now, that wasn't a good punt because it was supposed to be punting to the left. All right, it was a late call, and he ended up punting to the right, so that kind of messed our coverage guys up. Now, one of the things, if we're punting in, that we became very good at is this. I call it the gunner goalie technique. All right. That's if the ball is rolling and you want to down it. All right. We do not assign a guy this. This is how we teach it. The first guy that gets down there becomes your gunner goalie. And when you know that ball is going to roll and the returner is going to get away from it and not pick it up, and he hopes it goes to the end zone, the first guy that gets down there that feels he's the guy, he sprints to that goal line. He turns around. He gets his heels on the goal line. He's like a goalie in hockey. He spreads his legs like a goalie. And up here, we can have our any body part in the end zone as long as the ball does not cross the goal line, okay? We call it the gunner goalie technique, all right? So the ball's rolling. This is our right here. This is our gunner goalie. Sprint to the end line, sprint to the end line, turn around, turn around, turn around, down and inside to one, okay? We actually had 3 of those this year, okay? So here it is again. This is our gunner goalie. He's the first one down there. He's sprinting down. He's sprinting to cover, 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 cover. The returner's not going to sprint to the goal line, turn around, get your heels on the goal line, be a goalie. Boom, don't let it cross the end line. That team has 99.5 yards to go. So our defense stopped them. 3 plays now punt. We drove down for a touchdown. All right, that's how good that was for us. All right. Here's another team. Here's another team. All right. The ball landed at the 10. Didn't get the best roll there, but look we got a gunner goalie right here just in case, right? So you got to teach that. You got to drill that. Okay. Here's our operation men, coaches. All right. Here's our cadence. How many are in the box? We get a directional call. And how much is on the play clock? So 10 up, Lake, T10, meaning time on the clock is 10 seconds. That's if you have a play clock. So that's our cadence. Okay. Here's a new drill that we're doing this year. This is a new drill. All right. I don't have film of this because we didn't have spring ball because of this COVID stuff. But this is a new drill. It's called the squeeze drill. All right. Because we had a little trouble with this year. If the guys with the S, these are the opponent that we have to squeeze. The guys with the color, the full player, the PEC guy, the I guy, this is us. What is happening is if we're not getting off the block and we're getting closer to the return guy, we got to squeeze him into the returner, and we got to one-arm bench press him, squeeze him. He's on my inside. I got to squeeze him, one-arm bench press him into the returner, and then get off of him. We call it a squeeze drill. I got to squeeze my guy into the returner, squeeze him into the returner, constrict the lane. Don't give the returner anywhere to go. Still keep my outside free. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Get off and make the play. All right? So we call it the squeeze drill. That's something that we are definitely going to be working on this off season. Something new that we are doing with coverage, all right, and here's why, because we speak the same language. Going clear back to my vision statement, all right, something new. On our kickoff coverage, our outside guys, we call them fold players, our number ones on each side of the field. Guess what? Our ends, I'm changing this year. There are fold players. After they block, they're going right to the ball. There are fold players, so I'm changing that up. And our left half and our right half, guess what they're going to be? They're going to be our hip guys, so I'm changing it up as well. Okay, guys? Coaches, that's something different as well. Okay? And I'm gonna end with this because I want to get to kickoff. The three major things that you got to be able to do is this: SSS at the line of scrimmage. Stun his charge, a hard charging, stun his charge, stack the defender, and squeeze the defender. Stun his charge, stack the defender, and squeeze the defender, okay? Stun, stack, squeeze. Stun, stack, squeeze, okay? So I'm gonna stop with punt right there because of time, and I'm gonna go to kickoff, okay, coaches? Okay, Coach Portella? All right, so here's kickoff. We talk about kickoff, and the coaches have asked for directional kickoff. We are a directional kickoff team, all right? We are a directional kickoff team, all right? I actually kick off to the right because I have a left-footed kicker. What I have up here is, I have up here directional left, okay? I have a directional left schematic. It is pretty cool. So B2, B3, and B4, B2 is my hip guy, B3 is my pec guy, and B4 is my eye guy. I already taught you that. Eye, pec, hip, correct? They're inside the hash. They're inside the hash. I'm kicking deep left. B5 on the right, B5 is my eye guy. F4 is my hip. F4 is my pec guy. F3 is my hip guy. So those are my eye, pec, hip. Well, coach, what are you doing with F5? All right, here's the name of my kickoff. It's deep left, field 5. Deep left, field 5. What I call this is, I call this a twist concept. We get going 8 to 10 yards, and once we know that return is coming here, then we twist behind and we go right to the football. You have no responsibilities, kamikaze to the ball, no responsibilities except get to the ball. F5, get vertical, directionally, 8 to 10 yards. Once you feel that return is going to go here, then twist behind and go. What does that do? It messes up their count. Now that gives us an extra guy inside the hash, right? We do not like to put 5 guys inside the hash because it's easier for the return team to wall 5 guys off over here, then we're screwed. I like the twist concept because I'm 8 to 10 yards vertical. We're paying attention over here. Are they going up the hash? Yes. All right. If not, by the way, if they're going to the field, then guess what? I stay in my lane, leverage the returner with my inside shoulder. If he bounces it here, then all we do is keep adjusting our cover length. That's all we do. F2 in green here, he is contained. He is deep as the ball. He's squeeze, 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 deep as the ball. Nothing gets outside of him. B1 and F1, if you remember our ends, the new thing we're teaching punt on our ends, there are full guys. What they're allowed to do is this. They're allowed to figure out the kickoff return, and they're allowed to go find the football. So really, we have three guys, B1, F1, and F5, that are kamikaze, no responsibilities. You go find the football. And it's very difficult to block those guys when they're trying to, to step out and find a football. It's a great kickoff for us, right? We were one of the top kickoff coverage units in the conference this year because our guys had a lot of fun with this, okay? This is deep right, field 5. Deep right, field 5, kicking off from the right hash, okay? It depends upon what kind of a kicker. Here's the thing. If you tell your kicker, I want you to put it down on the numbers inside the 5, then your kicker is going to be thinking too much, all right? Tell your kicker, kick it as deep as you can inside the hash. That's better. Don't say, I want you to put it right here. Tell the kicker as deep as you can inside the hash. That's better than trying to give him a spot. Don't make your kicker think too much, okay? Now, I do have a zoom concept. Everything's the same, where I will put F1 in motion as long as he's inside this 5-yard area, right? I do have that concept as well, because you got to have 6 guys on this side of the football before the ball's kicked. I will motion him on the kicker's approach, but make sure he's within this 5-yard area. It's a lot of fun, okay? All right. I am doing a new spot drill this year. What I'm doing this year is this. I don't have any film on it, but the new drill that I'm doing is the ball is going to be at the 35-yard line. I am taking all of my front line guys this year. I am putting their inside foot up at the negative 34-yard line. We're already going to be in our stance up here at the 34. They're going to remain frozen, and when that kicker's foot hits the ball, then we're going to take off. All right? The NFL is doing it right now. A lot of the big college teams are doing it right now. It's easier for us to do it because it takes a lot of teaching when the guys are back here to do the approach. So we are moving our guys up to the negative 34-yard line. Our inside foot's going to be up. Our outside foot's going to be back. When that kicker's foot hits the ball, then we're going to take off. It's going to be a lot easier to teach, less drill time. It's going to be a lot better for us, okay? So that's going to be a new thing for us. We call it the spot drill, something new for us. Then we go from there. Then I go by the 50-yard line. We have our full kickoff team. The kicker kicks the ball with that new spot drill, and then we leverage the returner. I have a coach back here telling the returner which way to go, all right? And then we leverage them, okay? So here it is, okay? This isn't very good. This is why I don't like to do this, because these guys are behind over here and these guys are good. So I don't do the full, 65 yards. I do about 50. So we're kicking off. And then we start to work on eye, pec, hip, and fold into the football, and everybody doing their job of the kickoff that I taught, okay? So we do that drill. Early on, we also have to teach taking on a double team, okay? If you don't teach taking on a double team and all of a sudden you get into game week and you got to teach taking on a double team, that's going to put you behind during game week. So in camp, you got to teach taking on a double team. Now, I don't know what the rules are where you coaches are at, but there's certain double team rules that we have. But we never say blow up the double team. We never say blow up the double team. We say split the double team. As you're taking on a double team, it's like a defensive lineman trying to split the double team. Get low, turn, torque, turn, grab grass, blade, split the double team, make penetration, and try to split through that double team if you can. Or try to juke and jive and set up on the left edge or on the right edge, right? And our guys are good at this, either splitting, and we've had guys work either edge, right? And make the double teams miss, and that was great. And we had a number advantage on that. So you got to work on splitting the double team, all right? If you have any questions, I would strongly urge you to talk to your defensive coordinator or your defensive line coach about how to split your defense, how to split your double team with that, okay? That's something very important, okay? Another great drill I do from the sideline is this. Some of the basics, we call these out-of-phase drills. This is at the first level. This is the second level. Right, we blade the hip, then we button press a second level blocker. So blading the hip. If a guy has his butt in one direction, he's trying to block you opposite of his butt, right? So we try to blade the butt. We try to dip and rip, grab grass, blade the butt. We try to blade on the butt side. So whenever we get about 2 yards from that man, or we tell him to turn whatever way, and a guy has to blade that butt, you know, flipper that butt. We call it dip and rip at the butt and grab grass. Then we have guys with shields here. We button press, butt press, get off, butt press, get off. It has to be violent and quick. Butt press, get off. We cannot spend a lot of time on the button press. Then we come to balance. This year, our defensive coordinator came to me and said, we're not going to be talking about coming to balance because we want to sprint through our tackles. We want to sprint through our tackles. So now we're not going to be doing any come to balance drills on kickoff, because on kickoff, I'm not going to be doing come to balance, speak the same language. We're going to be sprinting through tackles. So we might have a cone. We're going to sprint through and do a form tackle on a bag now, okay? So this is a great drill to do. And then the next drill we do is I put it all together. I call it, because we're the Grove City Wolverines, I call it the Wolverine drill. All right, the first drill, we do the spot drill with the kicker, then the blade, then the button press, and then we eye, peck, and hip the returner. So those are the drills that we do, all right? Here's our Wolverine drill. There's the spot drill with the kicker, time it up with the kicker, all right? Then we blade, see how he's nice and low, grabbing grass, right there, he's grabbing grass, dipping and ripping, getting low, defeating the block, right? Butt side, hip side. Now we're going to the next level, all right? See how he's button and pressing, butt press, elbows in, thumbs up, out 11, 1 o'clock, all right? Getting rocking and rolling, all right? Getting off the block. Now we're gonna leverage our returner. Leverage the returner, keep the ball carrier on your inside shoulder, right? Now the ball carrier is going away. This is something new. These guys here, we call them fold players on the back side. They still leverage the returner, keep them on your inside shoulder. You're folding on the back side and be ready for any reverse action coming on the back side, all right? All right, eye peck, hip, eye peck, hip, eye peck, hip, boom, that's the drill, okay? That's called the Wolverine drill. You put all together, all right? A new drill we're going to put together is a 15-yard drill, all right? These are blockers. That's a returner. We got to do a better job in phase, right? The returner's going to attack one side. We got to get off our blocks better, so we're going to attack the blocker. The blocker's going to fit in more. We got to do a better job of button and pressing, getting off in phase. So this is something from our film study that we got to do a better job of getting off of our blocks, okay? Here's that blade, button press, come to balance drill. Here it is coming right at you. Blade, button press, come to balance. You can put a dummy bag there and come and tackle it however you teach your tackling. Or you can leverage a returner, however you teach it, okay? Something very important. On Tuesday, or your first practice day of the week, if you in film feel that you got to work on something, do it. This right here was in our bye week. We had a weakness with us. We went clear back in our bye week. Every single special teams thing that we did, we went back to day one of camp and all special teams. We reinstalled on day one of camp during our bye week. We did everything, all of our fundamentals again. That's something to think about, coaches, okay? And so that's what we do. I mean, those are our basic drills that we do for kickoff, right? I just got a lot of drills here. A lot of drills. By the way, here's popover. I was asked to go over a popover kick today. The kicker that I use for popover, he's good. He's the best doing popover left. So here's popover left. We do it from the left hash. All right, he excels at this. All right. So what we do is this. B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, F5, F4, and F2 on the kick. Their only responsibility is this. They squeeze to the football, they avoid all blocks if possible, and they get to the football. That's their job. The kicker, your job is to kick the ball and to try to get as much height as possible and to put the ball between the 25 and the 20, and we're hoping that he can put it on the numbers, right on the numbers, with as much height as possible. We are trying to get the ball to either land on the ground or to get them to fair catch, number 2, or 3, to get someone not used to catching the ball to catch the ball if at all possible. Now, I have 3 guys that I haven't given assignments to. The kicker, once he kicks the ball, after he executes a great kick, he has contained. We're about 15 yards behind these guys. He has contained between the left sideline and the numbers. F3 follows everybody down. He has contained between the numbers and the right hash. And F1, he follows down. He has contained between the hash and the hash in case anything bad happens, right? So I have 3 backup contained players. Everyone else, you get to the football. We have great height on this. That's our popover kick, right? By the way, I'm not teaching kickoff return today, but as a kickoff return coach, you should have a return in versus popover kick to be surprised, right? If we have a kickoff return called, if I have left return called and they go pop over to our right, we have an automatic audible call while the ball's in the air to go pop over right return. So we practice that, by the way, just for you. So here's pop over. All right. This is right before the half. We just scored. We're up. I think we're up. 35-0, 28-0, and we're right before the half. And you can see where the ball landed, right here at the 25-yard line. We're flying down the field, right? Things looking pretty good. And they got the ball at the 33-yard line, okay? I'll go from the tight view, the end zone view, okay? And I think I have one more. This was in our bowl championship game. They had really great returners. Again, we just scored right before the half. We have the momentum. And you can see what happened on this. The kicker gets a really good kick, really good height. The ball landed at the 21-yard line. The ball's on the ground. Get down there. Ball landed at the 21, and we tackled him at the 23. Okay? Let me show you from the tight view. So the pop-over kick is very, very, very powerful. Let me show you from the tight view. All right. So things like that work, and you got to pick your time. You got to really execute when you want to do the pop over kick. Okay. Quickly, here is how I do onside kick. You must have 4 and 6 on either side of the ball. So what I do is I always have my F1 guy. He comes in motion with a kicker. Once the kicker kicks the ball, then I have him sprinting behind these guys, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, and F5, and following them down to be what I call the ricochet, because if it hits a guy and comes back, he's what I call the ricochet guy to recover the ball if it ricochets back. He becomes my 7th guy. He crosses the ball once the kicker kicks the ball. And you got to develop your kicker to get that roll, hop, high hop, okay? B1, he needs to be that basketball player, that tall guy, that guy that can jump. He got to keep the ball in bounds, butt to the sideline, fill that high hop, fill that low grounder. Maybe he tips it back to B2. B2 can catch the ball after it goes 10 yards or recovers the ball. B3 can be a blocker or a recoverer. B4 and B5, they are normally your blockers, right? If they come out of this 10-yard area, they're blocking those guys right now. F5 is a recoverer. F4 and F3, you attack this side, but ensure contain in case something happens and they pop it out to this side. All right, F2, you are a safety valve on this side, and F1, attack this side and be the ricochet man. Okay, so are we okay with that? That's how I teach it. You got to do reps on that, okay? All right. So because of time, I just want to put a couple more things up here. You know, how do you develop your kickers? You know, during camp, during spring, and even during the summer, my kickers have this. They have things like this, things to do, and I give them a feel. How do the legs feel? Don't over kick your legs. Don't hurt your legs. But things like free swings, no steps, 1 steps, height drill, dry runs, no kicks, and all these drills, directional kicks. And I typed this up for them. There's a guy by the name of Jamie Cole, K-O-H-L. Jamie Cole, K-O-H-L. One of the top kicking, punting, snapping coaches in our country. One of the top guys. A lot of my kickers that I coached in high school, I sent them to. He is a wonderful man, one of the top kicking coaches around here in the United States. I've had his tapes. A lot of these drills are what I use, and these are actually his drills. A couple of my kickers that I have at Grove City College have trained under him, and a lot of these drills are his drills. So that's one way to develop them is, you know, get in touch with Coach Jamie Cole, K-O-H-L, Cole Kicking Academy. But each day we give them certain drills to do, and my kickers work on these drills. I laminate this for them. They know what to do, the kickers, the punters. By the way, our kickers and punters also work on holding techniques to be extra holders for us as well. Just FYI. Developing a kicker, something very important. You always want a square plant foot. You always want foot and ankle lock. You want bone to fat contact. You want your lower body lean, upright, upper body, position on contact, a hard pull through ball. I'll show you this. You want the extension of the scissor swing leg through the ball and downfield follow through and balance, okay? So this is actually one of my kickers in high school when he was at the University of Pittsburgh, all right? So let me show you here. He's stepping before the ball is in the hands of the holder. This helps with your snap to kick time. All right, so can you see that? You see how he has that lean lower, but his upper body is upright. That's the type of picture that you should have. Lean lower, upper body upright. Lean lower, upper body upright. That's the type of picture you should have, okay? Here's another shot. This is called follow through, right? The ball was held at the 31 and he finishes at the 29, okay? Ball was held at the 31, he finished at the 31, okay? Lean lower, upright upper, okay? We okay with that? Movement, ball is halfway, he's already moving. That helps with your snap to kick time. Lean lower, right? Upright upper, foot ankle lock, right? Bone to foot contact, extension of scissor leg, right? He's got the extension here. He follows through on contact, okay? Stuff like that, okay? So those are some good things here. And just a couple things I want to share with you before I end this. All right, game situations. Game situations. Something odd right now. If rain is in the forecast for game day, every once in a while use a wet ball during punt and PAT during the week. We have a water bottle, we have a bucket out there. We'll take an old ball and make them use it. Punt. Review counts and overloads, even if the opponent doesn't show in scouting report. All right. Review all fronts, returns, and blocks the day before. Practice pinning in and punting out of the end zone. I always do this. If we play on Saturday, we always do this on Thursday. Fake punt weekly. If you are a coach that believes in having a fake punt in your system, always scheme it. If you don't do it. If you do, do it. Okay? Punt return. Always have your fake punt alert ready to go. Defense. By the way, our backup punt return team is our defense, right? Our defense has to be our backup punt return. All right, fourth and less than 5 is always we keep our defense on the field, coaches, all right? So our defense has to learn it. You have to have punt return. You have to work versus fake. Versus shift punt. We see teams up here do a lot of shift punting. Returners, you must educate your returners to know the situation. Coming out versus pinning in. They must know all types of punts. Right-footed punter, if it's a right-footed punter, right, it's going to turn over to the left. If it's a left-footed punter, it's going to turn over to the right. They're going to be able to catch low line drives. They'll be able to catch rollers. They're going to have their heels on the 10. On pin and punts. Kickoff. You got to work versus a reverse at least one time a week, even if the opponent doesn't have it. You got to work popovers 2 practices a week and onsides a day before and kickoff return. You got to work versus a mass huddle. We have teams up here that are mass huddle. You got to work versus that. You got to work all types of kicks at least once. You know, we do a ball fielding circuit in camp. You know, all kind of kicks that you'll see, and you're going to work on hands team, even if they kick deep. All right, PAT field goal and PAT field goal block. You got to do that. Coach Figueroa or Coach Portella, that's all I have for you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. Let's see if somebody has another question. Coach, how do you fit the in your practice periods, the special teams periods?
On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have a 5-minute punt, 5-minute punt return, 5-minute kickoff, 5-minute kickoff return. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, we have a 5-minute PAT field goal. And on Thursday, a 5-minute PAT field goal block. On Friday, we have a mock game, offense, defense, special teams. And then I also have a halftime period where I have a 15-minute walkthrough on any situation and special teams that I need. So I really have 20 minutes per practice, four 5-minute periods per practice, plus the Friday mock game and a halftime period.
Okay, Coach, thank you. It was a great presentation. The reason why I asked you talk about the special teams today is that usually there is not many special teams clinics where we can learn the little details and how to teach them. Yesterday, I spoke with some coaches about the importance of the special teams that can represent 30% of the points, and that is the importance that we must give in our practice. Coach Brest, I really appreciate that you spend your time to share some football with us. I told the coaches in the beginning of the clinic that every year you come with your family to the Mayan Riviera for your vacation, that I met you 2 years ago, that you are a great person with great values and always willing to serve. Once again, I thank you for the willingness. Please give my regards to the wife and children's. I hope to see you soon.
Love you, Coach. Thank you. Give my best to your wife and your children as well. And thank you to all of the coaches who listened. And I just hope that you're able to take one thing away from this presentation to make you a better coach. I become a better coach doing this and become a better coach just listening to all of you. Thank you so much.